Loves a good takeaway, quite adventurous.
Yes.
Doesn't have sex before marriage.
Okay, she likes to start her mornings off with a 5-second fart.
Okay, but that would be very specific. And thank you for now sharing that with the internet.
Like, to me, that feels like something I shouldn't know about a person unless they choose to tell me. Oh my
Twist.
god.
Wait, so...
It's not they've been dating for a while.
No.
Is it there was this really annoying girl at school who you're like, oh my freaking god. And then she shows up with your brother.
Wait, that is a Hallmark movie. Tree falls, but do you fell it?
You're through to 1-800-DRAMA.
The show where you share your biggest dilemmas.
And we help you navigate them.
I'm Shaaba.
And I'm Jamie.
Come join us as we help people figure out if they are the drama.
Because sometimes you just need an outside perspective.
And we can all expand our own mindsets along the way.
Wait, am I the drama? Red flag, green flag, Shaaba.
Hit me.
Marmite. Just Marmite. I'm going to hit you with Marmite. I'm going to slather you in Marmite.
Just Marmite. Red flag. I don't like Marmite. I've only had it once. But the one time that I had it, I hated it.
I don't think you have a right to have such a strong opinion against it then.
It was so bad. I can't even remember the context and how this happened, but Luke made me eat Marmite after one of the parties that we had one time. And we were just sitting there and I had it and he was so offended that I didn't like it. But I was like, I don't understand why people like this.
Have you ever had Twiglets?
Yeah, and they also sucked.
Really?
They were not as bad as Marmite concentrated. But do you know what's worse than the taste of Marmite? The fact that nobody can tell you what Marmite is.
It's a tar-like yeast extract that contains things like barley and rye.
Okay, well, I've never to hear that from anybody else. It still doesn't explain
it's
to me what it is.
It's very salty.
It's a lot.
It's a salty yeast extract concentrate.
I red flag Marmite.
I green flag Marmite.
I red flag Marmite.
I like Marmite.
You like Marmite.
I like Marmite.
Well, there you go.
And this is why they say opposites attract. I think I first developed a love for Marmite after I had Vegemite on toast for breakfast for 7 solid weeks in Australia.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it. I'm not sure if that was a willing move from you then.
Yeah.
Or whether you like Marmite via dress.
Nobody made me have that for breakfast. I wanted to.
What is Vegemite?
Dunno. I think it's the same as Marmite.
Does
it
that
looks
mean
the same.
that Marmite is not vegetarian?
I have no idea.
Because for there to be a Vegemite would suggest that Marmite is meaty.
They do say yeast is living, but I don't think it's an animal.
But it's not veganamite. Like a broccoli is living.
But maybe it's because there's things like Bovril, which are like the same kind of colour as Marmite, but they're not vegetarian, I don't think. I'm so confused now.
I red flag both, and that is my TED talk.
I red flag you.
And on that very controversial note, are you ready to go fishing? For assholes.
And Marmite.
No. Ooh, drama.
Am I the drama, Shaaba?
Always.
For telling my friend who was interested in my cousin about her religion and her celibacy. Feels quite personal. Take it away, Shaaba.
I'm a 20-year-old man.
Are you?
OP is. And my friend, a 25-year-old man, met my cousin, a 26-year-old woman, who happened to be in town about a week ago when we were hanging out to celebrate my birthday. Happy birthday, OP. They sort of hit it off. Granted, everyone had drinks and were lightly buzzed and exchanged Instagrams at the end.
The Gen Z version of exchanging numbers.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like,
Did you just eat something really delicious?
I felt like kombucha girl. I was like,
You can still exchange numbers.
Exchanging numbers is like exclusively romantic though, right? Whereas anyone exchanges Insta. Like friends.
I feel like exchanging numbers is more likely to be flirty.
Have you ever asked someone for their number without it having a romantic connotation outside of the workplace?
Yeah.
You have?
With friends, I've probably been like, oh, we should swap numbers to stay in touch.
Oh, maybe I'm more Gen Z than you, because I would not. But I would stalk them on Insta and then like slide into their DMs and be like, hey, so glad we met today.
Good for you. Do you want to read on?
After that night, my friend proceeded to ask me questions about my cousin, like what she was like growing up, if she was single, etc. I was puzzled by his sudden curiosity about my cousin, so I asked if he was interested in dating her.
Of course.
No doy, OP, no doy. And he told me he was, and was calling me to ask if I would be against him pursuing my cousin romantically. I wasn't fully against it, since I'm happy if my friend and cousin are happy, but I did tell him that her religion and her choice to refuse to have premarital sex might be a problem that might become an obstacle for both of them should they decide to pursue a relationship with each other.
That's a long sentence.
And breathe. OP, appreciate that we're here to help you, but commas are a good friend. My friend was a little disappointed by my answer and told me that he'd think about it carefully.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
How do you feel?
Ooh, gut reaction.
My gut reaction is a question. I want to pull down that interrogation lamp and be like, hey, friend, is this the celibacy that's making you feel some kind of way, or the religion that's making you feel some kind of way?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are two types of people in the world. And if it's the celibacy thing alone, then like that's a bit weird. Like maybe you're pursuing a relationship for, I don't want to say you're pursuing a relationship for the wrong reason, because sometimes sex is really important to some people. Like that physical intimacy is really important to some people, but like have a conversation. However, if it's the religion thing, I would kind of understand, because I think religion shows a lot about someone's values.
Yeah.
Especially if it's being taken as strictly as things like celibacy.
Yeah.
And only speaking from my personal experience where religious trauma is such a big thing, that would put my guard up.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's something that I would appreciate knowing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do hear you. I had a gut reaction where I was like, that feels like a very personal thing to share about a cousin to your friend, especially
Celibacy
when
thing,
they seem
for
to
sure.
have just met.
Yeah.
It was quite, intimate. And it all comes down to tone, right, and how it was phrased.
Right.
What if the disappointment was from the friend because he interpreted the sharing of that information to be like a read between the lines, I don't want you to pursue this?
Maybe.
Or am I reading too much into it?
Maybe. Or maybe it was a religion thing, or maybe
Yeah.
it was the sex thing. It could be one of any of the things.
I need more information.
Yes, I agree. Should we continue reading?
Yes.
I think he took what I said seriously, says OP, because he ended up not contacting her altogether.
That makes it sound like he was joking. Like, he took what I said seriously as if he didn't mean it seriously.
This is true.
But it was meant seriously.
I think maybe what I got from OP there is that he's saying, oh, well, he definitely listened to what I was saying because he's now not even contacting her. My cousin texted me yesterday and asked about my friend and asked why he hasn't contacted her. Okay, so clearly OP's been some like middleman.
Yeah.
Who in contact with him and like, what did they think of me? What did they think of me? Okay.
Wingman who actually ruined it.
Though I don't think the intention was to ruin.
I did not say intention.
But would you agree?
I just said result.
And asked about my friend and why he hadn't contacted her, and I told her that I talked to him about you, briefly mentioned the religion and celibacy. My cousin then got mad at me and told me that piece of information wasn't for me to tell, and that I thwarted whatever they had in between them.
That feels slightly dramatic because they'd like met this one time and then didn't even follow up with each other. But I do appreciate having personal information about yourself that you want to be the one that shares it, because you would maybe share it in a certain way. Maybe it's not fully up to date.
I appreciate
Maybe
that.
there are things that you do as an educational moment when you share that info to somebody.
You really are so right. Like, how does OP know that the cousin is celibate? It feels
Yeah.
like an odd thing to
It could
discuss
just be
with
like
cousins.
in front of family because the family's religious.
Maybe it could also be something that was something in the past but isn't anymore.
Yeah.
It's also just a bit of an odd thing to disclose, no?
Yes.
I totally appreciate the religion thing, but not the celibate thing.
Yeah, I think if you've got a friend who you know would not be comfortable with religion or would clash with religion
or maybe who isn't
something.
very religious, and you can just see and be like, look, I know you and I know you, and I feel like because of this reason, maybe this is like a bit of a grey area.
I'd still be encouraging, like, if there's something there, still like chat and
Go for
pursue.
it.
There's no harm. Like,
Yeah.
even if you think you might not work because of this one thing, obviously if it's a major thing, there are some things that you cannot work around.
For sure.
But if you could, then maybe have a chat about it.
My mum, for example, is so big on certain horoscopes. Like, she just won't entertain a relationship if it's with
So
a particular horoscope.
if you met somebody and you were like, oh my god, you seem really perfect, and you wanted like matchmake for your mum, but then a horoscope, it's not really like people share their birthdays. You can find out birthdays pretty much publicly.
But I would also still be like, Mum, don't be stupid.
Yeah, no, it was
I'm
silly.
not quite sure why
I was
I
like,
shared that.
you
I just wanted
can't
to
compare
tell
somebody's
you.
birthday to them not engaging in premarital sex.
The celibacy thing is weird, right? Like, to
Yeah.
say that about a cousin is weird.
Yeah, that's what I find bizarre. I'm unsure on a badge.
I'm trying to think of like alternate things that would or would not have been okay. I think the whole religion thing is okay. To say like, I mean, she's religious, but sure, go for it.
I feel like that is something that could very easily just come up in a conversation of, oh, hey, I kind of liked your cousin. What is she like? And then to be like, oh, she likes this.
Super religious.
She's really religious. She goes to church. this and this.
Loves a good takeaway, quite adventurous.
Yes.
Doesn't have sex before marriage. That doesn't quite fit in that list.
I feel like disclosing that somebody is religious and lives a religious lifestyle, like going to church and stuff,
Yes.
is not the same as then talking about their sex life or
I hear you.
lack of sex life before marriage.
Do you know what I'm struggling with? I can't tell if I can place fault because I can see something wrong with each three of these parties. For cousin, I'm
Yeah.
like, why are you so annoyed? If it's true, as in OP sharing it is not what's thwarted it. Ultimately, he, the friend, has decided not to speak with you because of values that you have. That's one thing. So I'm like, don't be mad at OP for sharing it, because OP didn't share it with bad intention. He was just answering a question of what is she like, right? But then with OP, I'm like, why did you feel the need to share something that you probably should have just let naturally take course?
Right.
And then with the friend, I'm like, why did you not speak to someone just because of those factors without verifying it with themselves? Clearly, they were waiting for you to contact them and
Yeah.
you wanted to contact them, and obviously cousin's like, oh, why haven't I heard from them? So there was an expectation there.
Yeah.
You should follow through, even if you're like not wanting a relationship based on the religious thing or whatever. Be like, oh, you know, friend told me that you were super religious, like, what's that about?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
On the first point, I feel like maybe there's always like another layer, and this is quite a short post. I just can't help but feel like maybe cousin is different in front of family to how they would actually be in front of a partner or friends or something, or they would share about their religion and the way they live very differently
On
to
their
how
terms.
somebody else might, and
Well,
it's like
absolutely.
their information has been taken away from them. They've lost control
I
over
agree.
how their information is shared, and I could see why that would be upsetting, whether you live that way truthfully or not. And I think either
still
way it
your
could
story
cause
to tell.
upset. It's still your story to tell.
The celibacy thing, though, not the religion thing. I do maintain that the religion thing, like just saying that someone's religious, is like a normal thing to share.
Yeah, because I think people who are religious can live all sorts of different lifestyles. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, okay, that means they do this really specific thing that I wouldn't be comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, well, let me still get to know them. I feel like that's not what I don't know, maybe it is, because we just don't have enough information.
About the friend's intentions, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, about everybody's intentions and about like the cousin's actual way, because we've not heard from her about what her beliefs are and how she wants to live her life.
Well, OP didn't go, oh, cousin got mad at me because that information was outdated and blah, blah, blah. It's cousin got mad at me because it wasn't my information to tell. So I'm assuming from that reaction that it is the case.
Yeah, but then the whole thwarted whatever they had between them, I'm like, he would have found out at some point either way.
Exactly.
And if he's not comfortable, which is why it's making me feel that maybe cousin doesn't live like that, but does in front of
because
family.
I don't think so, because if that was the case and that's not actually what it's like that's not the values that she lives by, she's not religious, or she doesn't live a celibate lifestyle, then she can go to friend and be like, hey, my cousin told you this about me. He's an idiot. That's not the case.
And maybe she did. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. This one I'm finding very confusing, and
I don't know
think
what badge to give.
I'm torn between two.
And this is kind of why I love the podcast, because it is these grey moral dilemmas that are like really useful to talk through.
I'm so intrigued to see what other people say, but I feel like we should. I'm going to give a tentative badge, I think.
My head, in order to try and give a badge, is trying to like put it on different principles, and I'm thinking about like other things that maybe would make someone question whether they are compatible with someone in a relationship. Kids. Typically you wait, right, until like you've developed a bit more of a connection before you, I was going to say unveil. That makes it sound like a bit of a ceremony, but you know, like before you ceremoniously or unceremoniously share something about yourself that could otherwise be seen as, quote, putting someone off, because it's like less of the norm, right? If someone has kids, I wouldn't be mad if they didn't tell me on a first date.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want someone to tell a potential date of mine that I have kids from a previous relationship. I would want to share that.
Yes, but if that person was friends with my cousin and very understandably was just like, oh, what's this person like? And it just came up in convo where they were like, yeah, she's a great mom, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not their fault for sharing things that aren't.
I think if it's information
stigmatized to share,
that kind of comes up when you're talking about somebody to help somebody know a bit more, then that makes sense. But when it's really private.
Yes, like outing. If you are LGBT plus in some way, you don't out someone. You know not to do that.
I mean, it would be a bit bizarre for a cousin to know this, but what if she was like super into a certain like kink and he just said, oh yeah, and she's really into bondage.
You don't share that. But also, do you not think like celibacy is just a weird thing to kind of know about your cousin, unless they're like really screaming it from the rooftops?
Yeah, unless they kind of like promote it as a lifestyle that like, other people, this is the right way to live, we shouldn't be doing this.
In which case, if friend is not like that, I can see why OP was like, maybe this would be a difference between you, but you do you, boo.
I think I'm ready. Are you ready? Should I go first?
Yeah, I actually don't know what my badge is. Could you go first? I'm cheating.
Actually going to say no drama here.
Oh.
But OP probably shouldn't have shared such personal information about his cousin without her permission.
Understand that badge.
But I don't think it was enough to warrant like, you are the drama.
No, I totally agree with you. No drama here. Boom. That's my badge. Thank you.
But I don't entirely agree with what OP did.
I would not have done what OP did, but I don't think what OP did, again, needs more information on that bit. I don't think what OP did warrants them being drama.
Yes, but I don't think it was 100% the right thing to do.
So if someone had said to you, hey Jamie, what's Shaaba like? I mean, I know I'm in a relationship, so they probably wouldn't ask you to try it. But you know what I mean? Like, if it was just like on a friendship level, they were like, oh, maybe I'm interested in knowing Shaaba as a friend. friend, like, what was she like growing up? What is she like?
But then what if I then shared like really personal things, which I'm not going to do here because then that was...
But like what? I'm intrigued.
Well, I'm not going to say it.
Oh, well, like, you know...
Okay, she likes to start her mornings off with a 5-second fart.
Okay, but that would be very specific. And thank you for now sharing that with the internet. If I was religious, would you not say like, yeah, she's super religious? I would expect someone to be like, oh, she's like kind of delulu. She's very like out there. She's loud and expressive.
Pink
and
hair.
Pink and
But
not afraid to
do you know
say
what
what
I
she
wouldn't
wants.
lead it with? She's bi. There are just certain things, and to me, the sex life falls into... not comparing.
I agree, the sex life thing is
I'm
overlying.
not comparing talking about somebody's sex life. We're talking about them being LGBT plus and outing somebody. That is a different realm of something that should absolutely never be done and is a massive no-no. But I do think sharing about someone's sex life is overstepping a personal boundary, which is why I don't think there's drama here, but I do think OP was wrong to share that specific piece of information. Share that she's religious. I think that's okay.
That's the line. It's the religion
But
versus the celibacy.
it's the celibacy thing, because I think that was something that she deserved to say in her way.
I agree with that entirely. Should we see if other people agree?
Let's see what other people say.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the intrigue.
I don't get what she's mad about. Is what you said to your friend not true anymore? If it is still true, then was she hoping to lie to him and you robbed her of the opportunity?
I feel like that's a really cynical way of looking at it.
I feel like this is a little unfair.
Thwarted the opportunity, as the phrase that the cousin used according to OP. I would be lying if I said that I didn't think a little bit that this might have been what she had in mind.
Yeah, it's not where my head went.
No, just to be like, is this why she was so upset with you sharing?
Right.
Because, like, is it something that you were hoping to hide?
Yeah.
But ultimately, what opportunity is going to find out at some point?
Yeah, and then either it's worked out really well and they both decide that they like each other and are interested in each other enough that that element isn't important until they're married, because they see that on their cards.
Whether it's something that they would typically do
after a few dates, when she tells him it's sorry, it's not really my vibe, and they part ways.
See, you're really hung up on the celibacy thing, which is so interesting, because I'm really hung up on the religion thing. I feel like we've taken different
possibly
emphasis on values of what was shared.
Maybe.
Interesting.
I don't fully agree with this.
I agree. I definitely think this is quite cynical.
And I think it is forgetting the pure sense of, even if it had ruined the chances with this guy, she still should have been the one to say it.
Sure, yes.
That's what's being missed by this commenter personally.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Not the drama. You've given your friends a heads up, one that sounds like would have been very much appreciated in the long run. I can see why your cousin's upset, as it's personal info, but I think that you were being a realist for the two of them, which there really isn't anything wrong with, but maybe talk to your friend about not texting her at all. I think that's what it is, right? Like, I feel like everyone's done a little bit wrong. I think the cousin's done a little bit wrong for being so mad at OP, but OP's done a little bit wrong for sharing more than they probably should have. But ultimately, friend has done like the most little bit wrong for ghosting.
But because maybe if the friend had followed up with her and been like, hey, it's really nice to meet you, but I'm just not into this kind of thing, maybe she would have but in his own way have let it be known that he's aware and it's just not something that he's interested in.
But how would he have said it? He'd have only said it once it was said. The OP had said it, right? I feel like if you're finding something out about someone by someone else, unless you're going to be like, right, so-and-so said that you're this, and this, and these vibes I don't agree with, so I'm not going to be interested in you. Like, that's a bit of a weird thing to do.
I took it the wrong way. The whole, like, maybe talk to your friend about not texting her at all, because I thought we could have let her down gently by not ghosting. But then where we're going at is, it's a bit weird to be really interested in somebody and then find out this thing about them and suddenly be like, no.
Without
and not even
saying
want
that's
to talk.
what it is, right? Yeah, like I feel like you'd be like, hey, lovely to see you. I was having a chat with cousin and they mentioned, as in your cousin, and they mentioned that you were like really into religion. Is this true?
But that's literally what I just said, except you just phrased it better.
Like, but as a conversation, not to be like, because you're into religion, I'm not into you. But to be like, hey, I'm trying to understand a bit more about you.
Okay.
And then speak to them about some other things. And then after that, be like, it's not really working out, babe. Nice meeting you, though.
Part of me just feels like it's so difficult to discuss these posts that just kind of feel like not really any drama here. There's just been a bit of miscommunication. Somebody's overstepped a little bit.
Maybe we're being too kind with our badges. I don't know.
Don't know.
Don't know.
Maybe unpopular opinion, but you are the drama. If he had her Instagram and you were okay with him dating, you should have told him to message your cousin his question and keep you out of it. Him reaching out to you to ask for info on compatibility and advice was already involving you in the relationship before it even started.
Do you agree with that? I kind of feel like it's okay
I feel
to be
like it's
hey,
kind
what's this
of
person
normal,
like?
but I do agree with it when it then oversteps a certain line of sharing.
But then that's OP's problem, not the friend's problem for asking information. I think it's fine to ask for information.
Well, they're saying the OP is the drama here. So not to mention that's your cousin. There's a chance, although religious, she's no longer waiting until marriage.
This is true.
Yeah, why would anyone announce to their family, I'm sexually active
Right.
now? Why would they tell their cousin,
Right.
literally none of this was your business? This is what I agree with. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with the second part.
Yeah.
I just maybe think that because of how OP phrased their intentions, and I know that the path to hell is paved with good intentions, I just don't necessarily feel like it qualifies enough to call them the drama.
I feel like it was perhaps done with
was just a nugget
OP's loyalty to his friend, being like, oh, I don't want to see you like maybe waste your time if you're not going to be compatible.
Or for both of them.
And then just completely not realizing that he'd overstepped. I can see how something like this just happens without you meaning or realizing what you're doing.
Very this.
I maintain my badge and my verdict, and I do agree with that last point from this commenter.
Oh, cool, we're learning. Oh, not the drama. Was the info a secret or common knowledge though? And OP said she is very open about her Christianity, but she doesn't really go around bringing religion into conversations.
Yes, I'm sure she doesn't walk around going, hello, I'm not having
celibate.
sex till marriage. Like, to me, that feels like something I shouldn't know about a person unless they choose to tell me. It just feels very personal.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, there's another info.
Oh.
Did he prompt you to tell him about her religion and celibacy, or did you say it on your own accord?
Oh. So OP's replied to this saying, on my own. I just figured if this was an area where they were being compatible, it would be best that he knew about it beforehand. So it wasn't even as if friend was like, I know she's religious, what's the lowdown on that?
No, but to be fair, like, how would he know unless it was brought up? Like, I don't think that that's a bad thing on OP. Like, he's just like, what is she like?
It's interesting. No, OP overstepped a line with it.
With the celibacy thing, I would agree.
Not enough to label the whole post, you are the drama, in
but
my
not
opinion.
the religion thing. It's interesting because like OP's like, look, dude, like I just didn't think that this would be an area that you would get on.
But not realising that that area is actually personal.
Yeah, but just trying to save time for both of them. I don't know.
Sure.
Oh, interesting.
Messy.
That's the good word to conclude this one. Messy. Let us know what you think, Peaches.
Down in the comments on YouTube or over at 1-800-DRAMA-POD on Insta.
Drama. All right, Jamie, am I the drama for telling my brother's girlfriend that she is still annoying as when she was in school?
School.
Oh,
this is interesting. Ha, you're annoying. Okay, fun times.
It feels a bit childish.
Yeah,
but I'm
let's
open to
see.
hearing you out.
I'm predicting brother's girlfriend has done something.
But they must have been together for a while.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see.
Okay, OP says, when I was in high school, I was not proficient in English, so I was in the average class instead of the advanced or AP classes.
Okay.
The rest of my classes, I was in advanced track. My freshman year, I was in an English class with Jenny. She was a class clown and she annoyed the shit out of me, okay?
I'm assuming Jenny is the girlfriend.
Every single day she would do something to piss off the teacher. Usually it was interrupting the teacher or arguing with her constantly. No, that does sound annoying. I know the type. Annoying.
I mean,
You're going to say you were the type.
I was the class clown. No, I wasn't.
No, you were a teacher's pet.
I really was. I was like scared AF.
Yeah.
Actually, I had like a Pokemon kind of evolution during my childhood.
You weren't annoying though.
I was. And then I was like just like a bit of a rebel, but I was still hardworking.
Yeah.
That's actually what my English teacher put in my notebook. She was like, Shaaba, the hardworking rebel. And I was like, oh geez. So my point is, I know a lot of class clowns and they never really annoyed me. I was just haha, I get it. This is your way of dealing with your childhood trauma.
No, I think people who constantly interrupted the class were annoying because they just make it drag on longer. Because you're like, look, can we just get on with this, please? We don't need the buffoonery.
But like, as an adult, do you not look back and go, they're hurting, that's why they're doing what they're doing?
Some people are, yeah. The next year, I wasn't in the same English class as her and I enjoyed it a lot more.
Okay.
Junior year, I was in the same class and I couldn't deal with it. She still constantly interrupted people, argued with people, and in general was a pain. I switched in the middle of my junior class so I wouldn't have to deal with her.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is like really
clowning. This is like, no, like you are legit feeling some kind of way about this person who's genuinely having an effect on your studies.
Yeah.
I can understand that this is more than just class clown buffoonery.
Yeah, and it is annoying.
Yes, I see that.
Okay, so OP is now 21.
Ooh, wait, so how old are you in high school?
Up to 18. Is freshman like first year, so maybe like 14, 15?
If you say so.
I don't know.
It's the one thing I will never be able to get my head around.
British. Anyway, OP carries on. I'm now 21. My brother was talking thinking about his girlfriend for a while now, and he brought her to meet the family today. It was Jenny. Oh my
twist.
God.
Wait, so
It's not they've been dating for a while.
No.
Is it there was this really annoying girl at school who you're like, oh my freaking God. And then she shows up with your brother.
Wait, that is a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, that is.
Do you know what would happen in the Hallmark movie version of this?
Yeah.
Brother and Jenny would break up, and you'd be like, ugh, so annoying, and then ultimately you would fall in love.
No.
The Hallmark movie, come on.
Yeah, but that would be awful.
Yeah, the Hallmark movies notoriously are. Carry on. Oh my gosh, I need to know.
The first meeting did not go well. She kept interrupting everyone. I asked her to stop interrupting me twice. The third time she did this, I must have made a face because she asked me what that look was for. I told her she is just as annoying as she was in high school and that she still hasn't learned to wait her turn. My brother told me to apologise and she was pissed.
This has just brought something up for me.
I feel like you're going to maybe have a bit of sympathy for Jenny.
As in, like, ADHD trait unlocked. Am I slightly triggered by the fact that someone is that annoyed at interruption? Maybe. No, I get it. It's annoying. And I do try my best to not do it. It's definitely easier to be myself and say my points and, like, I guess unmask a little bit, right? Around people I'm safe with, like you. Which, I don't know, maybe I interrupt you too much. But I always ask you, whenever we come out of everything, I go in thinking really consciously,
bless you.
am I talking too much? And then when I come out, I'm
sweet.
like, did we do this with the right balance?
I think when interrupting happens because of neurodivergence or like social reasons and isn't just like being rude, I think if it's brought up, there's often like a I'm so sorry, and then maybe an explanation if people feel comfortable to share some personal information, but there's at least like a look, I'm really sorry, it is something I struggle with, feel free to tell me when it happens. Right? I know.
Did you see how
I kept saying things because you were like...
No, here's the difference. With the neurospiciness, it's because of conversation braiding. It's not an interruption because it's never meant to stop someone speaking. It's because I expect you to continue and I will also talk at the same time. Because if you have two people with ADHD together...
I've seen it.
I think it's quite a magical choreographed dance. And I wish everybody would act that way. So, yes, it's not rude. But my point is, it's very rare, I will say, that it happens to the point where you are getting like visibly annoyed, or where I'm interrupting someone else and you're like, but then I read the room and I'll go, I'm really sorry, I'm very nervous and I have ADHD and I think I'm having a bad ADHD day, so you know, the verbal diarrhea is diarrheaing, but that doesn't sound like what's happening here.
No, and that's not to say that if you do have something like ADHD that you always have to feel like you need to tell people. It's just I think in any situation where this kind of thing happens and somebody's, you know, sorry, your behaviour is
a bit much.
It's a bit much.
You're a bit intense right now, babe.
Or, you know, it is interrupting, people aren't able to have a conversation, or you know you're being rude in this way, then at least an acknowledgement and an apology
goes a long way.
Clearly the third time she did this, I must have made a face because she asked what that look was for. You'd know what that look was for. And I think it's then that confrontational, well, what was that about? Why are you giving me that look?
Well, unless she doesn't know, and this is just a way of being. So I think a little bit of sympathy and grace is always useful. This is like totally unrelated. Well, it's related but not at all useful, except for maybe to give you a tool. I saw this on some form of media, I think it was in a TV show, where someone went, oh, I'm sorry, did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning of yours? And I just thought that was like so badass. It's logged in there to bring out when I need it. Well, I'm the one that normally interrupts, to be fair. But in a rude way, then that's how you can say it. That is what OP should have said at that point, to be like, I'm really sorry, I'm still speaking, because he asked her to stop interrupting twice.
I also think there's different types of interrupting. So often the type that you do, it's because you were like, I'm gonna do a metaphor, that's why Shaaba's making a face.
Jamie's metaphor moment. No, I feel bad.
I thought you were scared of my metaphor.
I agree with your point though,
So if a conversation is a lazy river, your brain is whitewater rapids, and so when you meet that conversation, you just make the flow faster. That's what your interrupting is. You're just progressing the conversation, but you are still part of it, you're still listening, you are still involved.
It's a supported interruption. It's like yes, and
whereas I think Jenny sounds like a beaver felling a log into a river and just
felling a log.
Just stopping the conversation.
Do beavers fell things? Is that what they do? Is that
I
what
don't
it's
know
called?
if that, I thought that their big teeth were like num num log, and then they build dams. Beavers build dams and to change the course of rivers.
I know what beavers do. I'm just questioning your use of the word felling.
Yeah, that's it. To fell a tree.
You fell a tree?
Hold on.
Tree falls, but do you Fell it? To fell a
To
tree?
fell a tree. Felling is the process of cutting down trees.
Oh my goodness.
I feel really big brain right now.
You fell, beaver, you fell.
Yeah, do you see what I mean? The difference.
Did you
Yeah.
hear it though? Because, like, the beaver didn't fall. Did you get it?
Yes, babe.
It's funny.
Do you get my metaphor though?
Because it's like a password.
Oh my God's sake!
But also
Okay, now
a
you are
verb.
being a beaver.
Sorry.
A conversation is a river.
Yes.
You can either be
It's
a
not assisting
rapid
the flow. It's not being a supportive
or a log.
interruption. Yes, it is stopping the conversation.
Jenny is a log.
Jenny is a log, and beavers fell trees. And
Yeah.
Shaaba's learning something new.
So I'm assuming she interrupts in the rude sense.
Sure, but still, it may be that she just doesn't know. It could be that she is
She's been
neurodivergent
told.
in some way.
Yes, I
And
hear that.
she has to be told, babe, you have a chronic issue of interruption and your words are a lot and you're very intense and you need to calm down. You're being too loud. I said, uh-oh. My brother told me to apologise and she was pissed.
I do have a badge. I'm a little stuck on one point before I give my badge because I do have this caveat of like, if Jenny is neurodivergent, either aware of it or not, it kind of makes me feel a bit more forgiving and like there could have been a better conversation rather than facial expressions made. However, I don't think it excuses being rude.
Yeah,
I
was
think it
gonna
needs
say.
a conversation, and I completely understand that people behave differently in different situations for different reasons.
I totally agree with you. And duality is a very important thing to remember. You can be struggling with something and you can be inflicting harm or annoyance. It doesn't mean that one excuses the other. I can have ADHD and it cannot be my fault that I interrupt, but it's still my problem to have to deal with.
Yeah.
That's where the phrase, not your fault, still your problem, I
Yeah.
think really fits in really well. And it applies to a multitude of things.
Oh, for sure. And I think we should definitely be aware and more forgiving and very open to people's different experiences and different ways of navigating the
But
world.
it doesn't mean that we should use it to excuse bad behaviour.
Yes, and there should definitely be a conversation here. And by Jenny's responses, the way this is written, although we can't take this for, three sides to every story kind of vibe, although from her responses, it doesn't sound like it's a, I'm sorry, kind of vibe of like, I am aware that I do interrupt people sometimes
Yes.
and I apologise for that.
And it is clearly so bad that OP has like
Moved
literally
English
moved
class.
classes. At the same time, I also see how it'd be really confronting. I wonder if Jenny remembers OP. This is a big deal to be meeting
Yeah.
the family for the first time and to be confronted with, oh my god, you're so freaking annoying. You've always been so freaking annoying. Like it's an embarrassing thing. I think I have my badge. Do you have yours?
Yeah.
Everybody sucks here.
I was going to do a not the drama. I
No.
don't think OP is the drama.
Oh, okay. I think everybody sucks here. And I actually think that I was going to say maybe OP sucks more, but I don't think that's the case. I think they suck equal amounts. I can understand how Jenny's being really frustrating and Jenny needs to take accountability, in which she hasn't. But also, OP sounds like a bit of a... Like, the way that you're bringing it up at that family meeting, it was the wrong context. It was not nice, and it's clearly something that she's constantly struggled with. So you should be, as a 21-year-old, open to understanding that people are different and people have flaws.
I do hear you.
And that's not the right way to bring one up.
I do hear that.
Your badge be why?
I can see how that would be very irritating. There was like an attempt to say, don't interrupt, please, before the facial expression and before saying, oh, you're just as annoying as you were in high school.
That's the phrase that I feel didn't need to be said. You could be like, I'm sorry, I'm getting frustrated because I have tried to tell the story twice already and you've interrupted me. This is the third time you've done it again. That's one thing
And
to say.
that's your wonderful communication of not being in the situation in the moment.
Yes.
I could see how it could come out, and I think it was a little harsh, but I still wouldn't label OP the drama.
Interesting.
Personally.
Do you think, because I feel like I would definitely lean more towards your badge if it was confirmed that Jenny is not neurodivergent in any way. I definitely feel like I'm like holding on to a little bit of sympathy towards that.
Yeah, and I can see that, and I'm maybe veering on the side of like taking this from the stance of what we know, and we've
Sure.
not been told she is.
Sure. But you know what, even if she is,
Yeah.
she clearly needs to keep it in check, but maybe someone needs to tell her and she needs to go through that little self-growth moment,
Yeah, it just sounds like it's been quite bad for a long time, and to interrupt like a class and teachers is quite a lot.
To the point where someone's feeling they need to move class because of this person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think if like people are literally moving class because of it, that there would be something in the teaching system that would be like,
Yeah.
Jenny, babe, we need to do something. Your disruptions are literally making people switch classes.
Yeah, maybe it has been said to her before.
Maybe. I can understand why that influence is annoying. I just think that that was not the appropriate context to bring up that past history that only you have in front of the whole family.
And I agree with you, but it just leads us to give different badges.
Fair enough. Should we see what other people have to
Yes,
say?
I'm very intrigued.
Not the drama.
She was being rude and you let her know.
You did.
Your brother being
Well, he
upset
did.
is no concern. Jenny needs to learn to be respectful or she will continue to be called out for it. You don't need to put up with her shit because of your brother.
I mean,
There's still that
yes.
nugget in your head, isn't there?
No, I'm just saying, like, I agree with this in principle. You don't need to put up with any shit. But
Yeah.
also, at the same time, like, we live in a society where other people exist and no one is perfect. And everyone's going to annoy you in some way. So we also need to employ skills of civility to not be assholes ourselves. So it's all about, like, balancing that.
You are so strongly opposite to eye for an eye. I don't agree
Yeah,
with eye
I
for an
really
eye.
am.
But your moral compass is so incredibly anti eye for an eye type behaviour. Even like kind of eye for an eye.
Do you know why? Because I truly don't believe that in like 99.9% of scenarios that an eye for an eye ever gets you anywhere. It really is true, like an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, right? That's like the saying.
Yeah.
It's true that it just doesn't serve a purpose because nobody pokes your eye out because they want to poke your eye out. No, some people do.
Some people
are just
definitely
total
do.
assholes, which is why I said 99.9%.
Yeah.
But 99.9% of the time, they're poking your eye out because they're hurt. And I just think that if we can understand that level of hurt, we can help people grow
I
instead
agree.
of just like branding them an arsehole and being like, there, that's it, I'm done with you.
I think I'm
That's it.
a little bit more vindictive than you.
And that's okay.
If
Sometimes, depending on how much chili I ever had for lunch, I can be vindictive. I'm just in a forgiving mood today.
Oh yeah, depending on the day we wake up.
But you're saying like generally you feel like you're more vindictive than I am.
Yes, generally.
I'd say so too.
I'm not pro eye for an eye, but even if somebody's hurt you because they're hurt, it doesn't stop the fact they've hurt you.
Yeah.
I very strongly believe in consequences for actions.
I agree too. I believe I'm not the one to inflict those most of the time. I'll just
Okay.
leave it up to Mama Karma.
But I do think the karmic consequence in this situation was Jenny getting called out in front of this new family she was meeting.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't realised by now that it's rude and it's upsetting other people, then this is your situation to get called out.
Do you not think in those scenarios though that what would happen if OP didn't call Jenny out in the moment? OP could have said, I'm sorry Jenny, I've just got a little bit frustrated because I've been trying to tell the story a couple of times. Jenny would have no choice but to be like, sorry, please do your thing. OP would have continued the story. Afterwards, everyone around that dinner table around the debrief, when Brother and Jenny would have gone, because this is what's going to happen, will be like, oh my God, how annoying are her constant interruptions. Everyone would know it. And then someone would say to Brother, hey brother, that trait that Jenny has, your darling Jenny, is very annoying. Can we like maybe talk to her about it or address it in some way? And then it could have been addressed in a way that didn't make OP seem like the total drama. Do you know what I mean?
We don't know how the rest of the family felt about it though. They could be on OP's side anyway. I'd be like, look babe, maybe a
annoying,
little
yeah.
much, but
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it was annoying.
Yes, and that's what I would say to you coming
Yeah.
out of this. But I would say there was a nice way to have said that.
Yes.
There was a nice way to have approached
Yeah,
it.
but I don't think it makes OP drama.
Fair enough. Not the drama one bit.
Ooh.
She was being rude and probably obnoxious and you called her out and you shouldn't have to deal with that from anyone. Info, did other people find Jenny annoying? Because this might just be you holding a grudge from high school or being particularly sensitive to this sort of thing if nobody else seemed to mind.
Okay, OP said yes in school and during this. Although there was a response to this and somebody said, yeah, you are the drama. Looks like Reddit will give you validation here, so if that's what you're looking for, congrats, but you're the drama. It's clear you don't like this girl in this context. Bringing up her behaviour from when she was 14, 15 and 16, 17 is pretty ridiculous now that she's 21. You're clearly trying to give us history so that we dislike this girl as much as you do. I agree with the other commentator, bringing up high school is just huge loser behaviour. Well, no, not if people are still acting the same. It's contextually relevant because it's
I
OP
agree with
was
you
trying
there.
to draw a context of saying, look, I went
This
to
is
school with
why
this
I was
girl.
so frustrated
She was so
and said
damn
what I
annoying.
said.
Yeah, because of this reason, and she is still doing the same thing. Therefore, it is relevant
I'm with you.
to bring it up. People change, but even if they don't, some people are annoying. I know many people / friends that like to talk a lot / more than others and can often interrupt. It happens. And this was now your brother's girlfriend, so you could have been cordial, at least for the first meeting. Guess that was too much to ask. I feel like this Redditor has maybe been called out for interrupting in the past and has a little bit of like a chip on their shoulder. I do agree that there could have been a politer way to do it in this situation.
And I do agree with this commenter's point about the context. It's the first time the family are meeting them. Even if it's not the first time that you are meeting this person, this was not the right place to be so rude so quick.
Yes, I think this comment is a bit brutal. I think this person's got their own thing going on that has led them to take it out on OP.
You know, you're like, babe, you okay?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
A soft you are the drama. I understand how annoying this can be. On the other side, I have ADHD and I do this. Now I can control it better, but when I was that age, I couldn't. And even if I understood it, it's annoying for others. I don't know if she has ADHD or not, but that could be an explanation. And if she does, one of her parents most probably also has it and they're used to communicating the same way at home. You could have just told her that you don't like being interrupted. She kept doing it. You found it disrespectful, and that's why you weren't enjoying the conversation. That way you'd have made your point respectfully, but what you said gave mean girl vibes. This, I totally agree with. Call it out.
Yeah.
Be annoyed. Say that you're annoyed, especially when she's confronting the fact that you're annoyed. But did you need to be such a turd? Jamie's like, yeah, be that turd.
I do hear it. I just think if you jump to saying that first, sure, yeah, bad. But like giving multiple opportunities and it's still happening, I get the frustration.
I understand the frustration too.
I don't think it was right, but I don't think it warrants like you're an awful person.
Fair enough. Both things can be true.
If you'd done this to somebody, I'd have said, I get it, but that was a little harsh.
Yes.
And I would probably say, I'd say sorry for calling her out like that in front of, like saying those things in front of family, but not apologising for calling her out on her interrupting behaviour.
And I totally agree with that.
Nice.
Drama. All right, our final Am I the Drama for today's episode is from a viewer, Birdie.
Birdie, am I the drama for being constantly passive-aggressive on a group chat with one racist person?
Oh, dude.
Wow.
Oh, dude.
Okay, this
I'm ready.
sounds a lot.
Let me get my slipper. We don't tolerate racism here.
No, I know. It's just your slippers are gross inside.
Shut up. You want my slipper? First, the introduction, says Birdie. I have 2 group chats. One with 2 friends, let's call them Gertrude and Isidore, and another with those 2 and a bunch of other friends. And we are all white. A bunch of us are queer and at least 2 people are non-binary.
Okay.
So you are a diverse group.
Gotcha.
Except for colour. And it seems that Gertrude and Isidore are like your close friends, and then you've got like an acquaintance group with a bunch of others.
Yes.
This is fair. We have something similar. Okay, Gertrude is a sensitive and empathetic person with a bad habit of giving people the silent treatment instead of talking about what's wrong.
Right.
I am not a fan of the name Gertrude, and I'm not a fan of how Gertrude is acting right now.
Gertie.
Gertie. Oh, Gertie's so cute though.
Gertie.
That silent treatment is Gertrude. I am the opposite, says Birdie, which leads to her constantly giving me the silent treatment when I say too much or argue too aggressively. This is kind of fair because I often get heated during arguments, which I was working on for years with a therapist, and in me and my family's opinion, I have made huge progress.
Okay.
Well done you for growth. That's really important to be able to acknowledge and to recognise and to progress with. I too get too heated. It's not a linear journey, but we work on things. It's called passion.
But
sometimes
it overflows.
This will be relevant later, says Birdie.
Gotcha.
On the other hand, silent treatment is something extremely harmful to me, and I've said this to Gertrude many times. She's never expressed any remorse for doing this to me, let alone any self-work. She just always waits for me to come crawling back and begging for forgiveness, regardless of who was in the wrong.
Oh, I don't like this.
I don't like that either, at all.
Gertie is rude.
It's actually really manipulative behaviour.
It would make me end a friendship. I'd be like, I was just so done with this. Like, why am I always the one apologising?
If
Go
you
away.
are the one that holds on to things, and I have said to you, hey, we should try and talk, and I would never keep begging you. Anyone, that's not my position. I know my self-worth, and it's more than that. Buddy, I hope you do too.
Struggle to understand how an empathetic person can blank somebody in an argument even if they have been in the wrong. Because surely, maybe not short term because we all cope differently, but to literally be silent until someone comes crawling back to you, bit weird.
Very weird. Very weird. And then like it's this point of not just being silent but then waiting for someone to beg for your forgiveness. It's like, I don't want to address this situation, so I'm cutting you off, and then when you will do anything to get back into my good books, that situation's gone and we're not actually dealing with the problem. You're just grateful to be in my life again? No. Another thing about Gertrude is that she's quite conservative and prone to believing anything that priests say.
Oh no.
This was causing some queer phobia and racism in her.
Oh no.
Though she definitely didn't see that.
I'm definitely not seeing the empathy in her.
Once on the first group chat, she sent a video with a POC person reacting to a comment that they got and angrily explaining what was wrong with it. It was one of those things that are commonly acknowledged as racist, you know, one of the weird invasive questions.
Yeah.
Like, Shaaba, why do you constantly smell like curry?
I've never asked you that.
I wish I knew what the question was.
Yeah.
Because it would help me, like, understand, like, yes, okay, this is definitely a problem, but I take your word for it. I guess it would be something like...
I can only relate it to my experience as a trans person, just being asked invasive questions.
Where are you really from? Do you want to go home? Why is it that you insist on saying that we're different colours? You know, like, why do you acknowledge that race is a thing? Why can't we all just be human?
Or a comment on somebody's, like, features or hair.
Sure.
Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Gertrude asked us if me and Isidore found this comment racist, and we both said yes. Gertrude told us that she doesn't see anything wrong with it, so we started to explain. You know what? At least Gertrude has put it on there to have a discussion.
Yeah.
I give Gertrude a crumb of a brownie point for the time being. She was constantly saying that she doesn't understand, so we were explaining it again and again, each time more irritated. Sometimes it's tricky as well because, like, without knowing the context of what those discussions were, do you know what came into my head with this? I had a really nasty asshole of a person in my life, and I did not understand math. It's never stuck right in my brain. I now know that it's an ADHD thing as well, so that was also, you know, put me on some kind of back foot. But no matter how many times this one person described something in their way, I was not getting the certain part of algebra. But actually, I kind of really freaking love algebra, and when I understood it, when it was explained to me in a different way, it clicked and it made sense. I'm more of a visual learner, and sometimes you just need different context to be able to get through to someone. I know that there are some people that there's just no getting through to, but I'm just saying, like, if you're saying the same thing again and again and you're getting more irritated, I would be like, look, sit down, Gertrude, we're gonna get you to understand this. And, you know, like, you put it to different contexts until someone understands.
I do hear you, but I think having somewhat racist views and not understanding algebra are two very different things.
Dude, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, the principle of using other ways to explain it instead of saying the same thing again and again. You can say the same thing, like, you can explain to me that a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but if I don't get it after hearing it 100 times, I'm still not gonna get it.
But here, it's not something that you need to fully understand. Whereas you with this math problem needed to understand how to get to the answer. Gertrude doesn't need to fully understand. She just needs to accept that a person of colour is saying that this is problematic, and people are saying, yes, this is problematic. I'm not saying, like, accept things you don't understand just because other people have told you, but if she's willing to believe religious. A priest, anything a priest says, and it's caused queerphobia and racism, but then she's struggling to listen to a literal person of colour calling out racism and she doesn't want to believe it, that does not lead me to believe that she has a problem understanding. It leads me to believe she has a problem with bigotry.
Accepting. Yes, I do think there's a difference. Yeah. But I do think as well that there is no harm at all in trying to get someone to understand. You don't have to have lived the experience to understand. Annoyed. I can see why it would be irritating, for sure. It led to me exploding, says Birdie, and just plainly saying that she doesn't believe people of colour in us, then she is just racist. I have been at this point before. I think many people can say that they can relate to that. In response, she started to say that she's done with me being aggressive, claim that I never did any progress on it, which hurt a lot, and that she doesn't deserve to, quote unquote, feel like a racist for her opinion. That actually sounds like a really racist thing
There's
to
so
say.
Many red flags in Gertrude's behaviour.
Gertrude. Who hurt you, babe? She also brought up one time where we talked about trans people when she was asking if we could date a trans person and that she didn't deserve to feel transphobic then. I love how people can be like, I don't deserve to feel like a bigot.
That's victimising behaviour. That's somebody being like, look, I can have my opinions and I don't deserve to be made to feel like the bigot I am.
Imagine the people that you are inflicting that bigotry on. They deserve to feel equal and human.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Gertie, get in the bin.
Well, that time, both me and Isidore agreed that we would, but Gertrude said that she couldn't just because she couldn't, quote unquote, be with a guy who used to be a girl. FYI, she had a friend who's a trans man, so this was particularly shitty of her. So after this argument, she decided to give me the silent treatment again. I was 100% sure that I was in the right this time, and also very done with her, so I just waited for her to come and apologise just once, and she never did. Now, this is where I could be the drama, says Birdie. People from the second group chat don't know about this argument. We just suddenly stopped interacting with each other, and if we were both in the same conversation, we would fight for the attention of the group. That's really, I will just say though, like, even if you did end up doing something arseholey after this is big gains for you to acknowledge that this is what's happening. Yeah. That is like some huge introspection and brownie points to you. Brownie badge. Go Birdie. Alright, I try to behave normally, but I know that I'm passive aggressive more than a couple of times, and it's getting more and more obvious that I pretend that Gertrude isn't on the group chat at all and that I don't see her messages. Again, good growth on you for acknowledging that that's what you're doing. I think it's causing the group to fall apart a bit because we're making the situation there pretty uncomfortable. I don't even know what to do with it. I still care about Gertrude deep down, and I don't have to break her friendships, especially with the fact that she's now befriending a bunch of far-right people, and I think she needs some progressive influence to not spiral down being a rolling, like, goblin. Am I the drama? So
no.
I thought where that was going is that Birdie was going to be like, and so I spilt the tea, and I was like, oh my god, on the group chat, Gertie's blah 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 blah.
Like,
you didn't.
Easiest, fastest, not the drama.
Not the drama.
Because she's been a shit, right? Gertrude has been a shit, and she has done something wrong, and like the million times before where you've always had to crawl back and apologise to her, you've gone, no, there is nothing for me to apologise here. I want her to think on her actions, and then if she wants to come and speak to me, she can do that. And she she hasn't done that. You're part of a bigger group, and actually I think it's so hard. Yes, there is passive aggressiveness in like ignoring somebody and kind of like one-upping for attention, but I think that is the nicest thing you can be doing right now. You haven't removed her from the group. You haven't gone around telling everybody else what she's been like. You aren't actively saying shitty things to her in front of everybody else. You are simply acting as if the two of you do not interact, and I do not see a problem with that. Gertrude, in the bin, off the group chat, goodbye. Birdie, you're cool.
Hang on a second. I agree. Birdie, you're cool. Like, I don't think it's Birdie's coolest with Gertrude's on the group chat. There is a larger friendship group available.
I was just saying generally they should all get rid of Gertrude.
Well, maybe someone else can get through to Gertrude, or maybe Gertrude has just decided that they're this kind of person that's not going to be listened to, especially if they're falling into a different group that may be a bit of an echo chamber that is not inclusive of people's views. You, Birdie, and anybody else, any other peach listening to this, sometimes you don't need to be the saviour.
Yeah.
I think that it can be a difficult message to hear, but one that's really important to try and take on board when it is affecting your growth and your state of well-being.
It's such a big burden to try and take on as well, and honestly, if she's befriended a bunch of far-right people and she's going down this rabbit hole of being a racist turf, then
that's what you're saying, right? Rolling like goblin. It comes to a point where you're like, wow, is she not wanting to listen, or is she just refusing to listen? And people who are not allowing themselves to be open to other people's experiences and speak from a place of like blinkered privilege do not deserve your time.
Yeah.
Because you are just talking to a brick wall. It'd be easier to talk to a brick wall.
I feel like if there's not been any wiggle room in the past, and I don't think people like turfs and, you know, major bigots who go around spreading it and get very stuck in the echo chambers are like that simply because of having these bigoted views. I think it also comes from this place of having a personality type that is like silent treatment, stonewalling, not listening, and having that type of behaviour. I don't think that she is empathetic by the sounds of this. I've not met her in person, obviously.
It must also be really tricky, because I understand that you feel for her as well, and it can be really difficult when you see someone that you know, and this is a perfect example of it, right, growing in a different direction to you, and that happens, and it's not your fault. We can't mourn people who don't exist, is kind of what I want to really kindly but brutally say to Birdie.
Maybe not the person you think she is.
Exactly. I think maybe she used to be, and the person that you feel that you're lost is somebody that never existed in the first place because you've just grown in different directions.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to acknowledge that in order to not cause further harm to ourselves. That's what I would say.
Gonna be so hard, if not impossible, for you to get through to somebody like that who does the silent treatment, because she's always going to think she's right. Yeah. Maybe there will be a day when she will listen, and it might be to you, it might be to somebody else, but I think for now, I personally, if I were in your situation, I would need to let go of that friendship.
And I do think that this is one of those situations where the badge is actually not important at all, more so than the advice given. Yeah. What do you do in terms of the group dynamics now? Because obviously the group are feeling some kind of way, you're feeling some kind of way. How do you recommend Birdie approach that?
I would have a chat with Isidore, and my approach with the larger group would probably be, don't go like gossiping and spilling the shit about Gertrude and you know, kind of like going behind her back.
I'd agree with that.
I would more just explain to the group, look, me and Gertrude have clearly grown apart. We are very much not seeing eye to eye on several issues that are really important to me, and I feel like she's being a bit disrespectful. I will let her share her side and the details if she wants to, but I just want to let the group know that I am no longer getting along with Gertrude.
I'd phrase it differently, but I do agree with this advice. I think it's important for the group to know that you are not seeing eye to eye with Gertrude, and therefore would not be interacting in the way that you used to. But apart from that, I wouldn't say anything further, and I think you have every right to be in that group, just like Gertrude does at the moment, because like you're all friends with the same people and you can coexist in the same space without having to interact. And as long as you are making that clear, it will stop any kind of one-uppingness or feelings of, oh my god, I'm making this awkward for other people.
And in a wider friendship group, you will probably find that there's maybe a couple people that might agree with Gertrude and they can go off and do their own thing, but it might be the general consensus that once everybody learns what's going on, that nobody really wants to be friends with Gertrude's, but they need to get there themselves.
Exactly. They need to figure that out for themselves. I don't think it's fair for you to go around sharing your dirty laundry with Gertrude. Often, if people are not being kind, their dirty laundry will be revealed by themselves.
I would really want to go around telling everybody.
Yes.
So I do feel a little funny giving that advice, because there's something about it that's not sitting right, because I'm like, but if she's a racist bigot, why can't I tell people?
Well, I feel like Isidore also agrees, right? You're both getting very irritated, so you have that one person that you can lean on and have that support with, but at the same time, I do strongly believe that you should be sharing stories that are your stories to tell, and sometimes they're appropriate appropriate contexts where people need to figure it out for themselves, not even because it's the right thing to do, but because it works better strategically for you. If people are going to be as manipulative as Gertrude seems to be, sometimes the best way to not accidentally isolate yourself is to be acting in a way where Gertrude could use that against you. And that might be coming from me being a very jaded person with some of the way people have treated like me in the past in communication, but I would always err on the side of caution in that sense and be like, look, I've got my person that I can get support with. I could go onto forums and be validated that I'm doing the right thing and that you are growing, Birdie, and that you're, you know, like trying to be the best person you can be, and Gertrude will take care of Gertrude.
Yes.
You disagree?
I wouldn't be as cautious. I'm thinking about it, and I probably wouldn't like gossip about it deeply, but I would want to let the group know a little bit about why, because I just want to have an opportunity to say it from my perspective before Gertrude got in to say whatever she wanted to say.
I'm not at all suggesting that Birdie shouldn't say anything. I think it's fair to say, look, we've fallen out because of a difference in agreement.
I'd maybe even go so far as to say I feel like she was sharing some quite uncomfortable views in terms of race and trans people.
And you could say there are views that made me feel uncomfortable based on XYZ.
Yeah.
Sure. Though I'm pretty sure that after speaking like this, Gertrude will be the kind of person that would say it themselves. To be like, I'm not a racist. I simply said that people shouldn't see colour. You know, like,
yeah.
Let them trip over themselves. They got big enough feet, babe. You don't need to do that. Best of luck though, Birdie. I hope your friendship network as a whole isn't too damaged by this and that you still feel like you have the support that you need.
Yes.
Just keep doing the next right thing.
Seconding that. And that's the final one for today's episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening to this on a podcast platform, please do consider giving our podcast a lovely little rating because it really does help.
Did you know you can rate every single episode? It really helps us out.
You can. Thank you. If you are watching on YouTube, hello. You can go leave a comment down below to join in on the conversation and give a like and subscribe to the channel to see more.
You can also follow us over at 1-800-DRAMA-POD on Instagram or head over to our website shaabaandjamie.com to submit your own 1-800-DRAMA for us to consider.
Ooh, drama.
Thank you so much for listening, my loves. Be kind.
Much love.
And have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.